We're going to have Operations Chief
Mike
Bazanos talk to you a little bit.
I'm here in behalf of Fire Chief Don Petito, who's taken a needed day rest. He's been on go for about 27 straight days, working about 12 to 17 hours per day. So we're trying to give him a little bit of rest today. Basically what I want to talk about is that we've been working very closely with Palm Coast, Bunnell, Flagler Beach, the Sheriff's Office, trying to make sure that we look at everything that we can look at. Some of the things that we're doing is the red team is taking over all of our mop-up operations. We are going to go back to purely initial attack and structural protection. So that's what we're going to be gearing towards. We're also going to be working very closely with the red team, and our communications is good. We have people connected to them at the hip, so that that information gets over to us very rapidly, so we can respond to any emergency that comes out. Right now in staging, we have 2 structural protection task forces and 2 wildland task forces put together. So that way we can respond either into the woods, if we have to go into the woods, or go out to the structures. We're also putting a plan in place, or have a plan in place, for the structural protection units that we already have out in the field that are in the stations itself, so that we could be much more efficient as these calls come in. The biggest thing for us right now is our goal is to use all the resources that we have in the best possible manner that we have, and to work very closely with the red team so that we understand and we know what is going on, and we can respond in a very rapid manner. And so far it's been working very well, and we've had really good communications with them, and we're going to hope it keeps going. So that's where I'm at right now, and I thank you for coming. If you have any questions.
What are your evacuation plans? How is that being worked out in case there is a needed evacuation? At what point do you trigger it?
That's some of the things that we're working out today. Is we're looking at all those trigger points. As it stands right now, the biggest threat we have to homes right now would be the White Eagle, and that's been behaving. It behaved yesterday pretty well, and we're hoping it behaves again today. We do have the red alert. They can go out and call the homes and let them know that they need to evacuate. We're also put in places, we have a sheriff's deputy that is out as part of our task forces, so that when we respond to an area that we call urban interface, that he goes with them and they coordinate with the other sheriffs in the area, and they can get on scene within a couple of, within seconds, 30 seconds to a minute. They're all on scene, and we can start that evacuation process. So there's a number of different things we're looking at and we're putting in place now.
What are residents going to expect when they are being told to evacuate by the deputies?
Well, they should be getting a red alert, go through, to give them a call and say, hey, it's, we're looking to evacuate you. And the other thing is the deputy is going to be going, they could be going door to door. They may be going over there, the intercom, the speaker, and just going through the neighborhoods and letting people know to please evacuate the area.
That's mandatory?
Nothing is mandatory. This is just plans in place.
But I mean, in case there was an evacuation, would it be mandatory?
There are times it's mandatory, and there are some times that it's voluntary. It all depends on the threat. So it's hard for me to tell you how it's going to work. It all depends on what the type of threat is and how much time we have.
Have there been any reports of smoke affecting cell phone service?
I have not heard of any.
You haven't heard of any?
I have not heard of any. Any other questions?
How many total active fires are there? Total number, all of it together?
Boy, I lost count. I think we had the ones that we're working actively right now. We have, I believe, it's 6 that are actually working. We had 17, I believe, total fires.
Yeah,
Could you speak on that a little bit better?
I think the ones that we're paying real close attention to right now, there's 7 of them. I don't have any of the particulars on the single fires that are out there, but there's 7 that we're keeping our eye on.
Now, when you said that DOF has taken over all mopping up operations, where are Flagler counties and Palm Coast, and where are the county firefighters right now?
Where they're at right now is we have them in our normal stations like we normally do. Plus, like I said, in staging, which is right outside here, we have 2 task forces built up to respond to where we need to. So we have the 2 structural protection task forces that could respond wherever we need to go to, and we have the 2 wildland task forces to respond wherever we need. We've also stood up Station 71. We're actually putting people in Station 71, all day long to make sure that
it's just DUF that's on fire.
currently, right now, they are doing the mop-up operations, and we are in support of of what they are doing. So if they call and there's a breakout where the fire's starting to run, we will respond and help them out with that breakout. That's what everything is designed for now. And what it's doing is it's helping us. We've been on these fires. If you don't know, we've been on these fires now for over 2 months. Constant. Every single day, day in and day out, we've been on these fires. 2 months long. The guys are tired. Right now, we're in 36 on, 36 off to make sure that our coverage is right for the entire county. We're working very closely with the other municipalities in the area to make sure that we have that solid coverage. We do ask the state for more help, and we're going to keep looking to state, say, hey, look, if we see more problem, we need more help, please send more units down to us. But right now, we think we got it covered for what we have.
Did you respond to Espanola yesterday? Did they need help there?
We sent our helicopter out there, yes, and we also sent. We have our operations chief is working very, very closely with the Red Team, and he also goes out there and like I said, what they need, we make sure they get, and that's one of the philosophies we've had here in Flagler County for the last since '98, and that is not to allow '98 to repeat itself. And everything we've done for these last 2 months is to make sure that history does not repeat itself. Everything is dependent on the weather, fire conditions. We can't change that. But what we can do, and what we did do, is we changed our attitude. Like I said, we've been on these fires for 2 months solid, working them, keeping them as small as we could possibly keep them. And that's where we're at. Now, our guys now, they're coming in here, they're coming to staging, and when something breaks out, we will respond to whatever we need to respond to. And we will take care of it. And we've got people on the hook. We've got personal phone numbers to people in like Jacksonville, St. Johns County, Volusia County, that we can call at a moment's notice to get mutual aid up here if we need that. The other day when the White Eagle fire, when it first went out, it started breaking the lines, we had a task force at Jacksonville come down. We had a task force of engine or strike team of engines from St. John's was here within 45 minutes. So we've reached out. Everybody understands our position. We understand everybody else's position, and we're all working. Everybody's trying to work to the best of our abilities with all of our limited resources.
If I could speak to that same issue, Pierre, what we're seeing, and all of you, what we're seeing now is just the carrying out of the grand plan that was put on the ground initially. Our whole purpose in coming here as a Red Team was to address the large fire so that the county, Flagler County firefighters, the Palm Coast firefighters could stay on initial attack and respond to the fires. The second part of why we're here is to try to get their lives back to normal, try to get them back on normal shift time, get them a little bit more rest, because as the ops chief said, they've been at it a long time. So what we're seeing here is just is change, but change that was planned. We're just carrying out the plan now. We've taken hold of the fires. They're staging, but they're still responsible for initial attack. So nothing has changed in the plan.
You're being taxed quite a bit because you've got now new fires and larger fires in Baker, Putnam, St. John's, Duval. All of those are drawing on your resources.
Yes and no. We only send what we feel. We make the decision. It's a situational thing. We look at the fires in those counties. If they're asking for help, we look at what we have on the ground, and if we can maintain and not fall back by maybe cutting a crew loose to go help for the day, then we'll do that. But what we won't do is cut loose any resources if we feel they're needed here.
And that's what's been important, that we work together in all of this. And that's what's been very important. That communication that we've had with them has been phenomenal. So when things like that do happen, if we can pick up whatever we do, we will pick up whatever we need. So we're working very closely to make sure that we take care of every incident.
But I mean, even you have finite resources 75 fires in the state. So how's DOF actually juggling all that and still maintaining its resources, for instance, here, at the level they should be?
Well, what we're trying to do is we stay in contact. We have cooperating agencies as a state agency too, and you've seen them here on the fire. We're juggling. We got plates in the air, no doubt about it. But FWC, Florida Wildlife Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission, Department of Environmental Protection, some cooperating other private agencies. We'll tap into those. They've been on the fire. DEP and FWC have been on the fire, so we've kind of rotated some crews in and out with them. And if they happen to, they're a large agency too, just like we are. Look around the state. Maybe there's a place. Hard to imagine because a lot of Florida's burning now, but maybe there's somewhere that they can cut loose a couple resources and send them. So we're definitely parting the bushes and trying to turn every stone over we can. Yes, we're finite. I mean, we get stretched, but it's kind of a combination of both. If we can send a crew without compromising the efforts on the Espanola, we'll do that.
Talk about what happened yesterday there.
Okay. Any more questions for?
I can answer questions.
Okay, yeah, we'll kind of.
If you don't mind, you can see I'd like to sit down for a little bit.
You all have a map in your hands, and I can kind of explain what the issues are. This is I'm going to use this map because it's a little bit easier. This is the map that you should have in your hands. Yesterday we had issues in 3 parts of the fire. There's a swamp head right here on the west side. We'll start there. There's a little spot over here, burned 75 acres beyond the line. What we did is we burned an additional 75, to have it burn into to burn it out. So basically what we've got here is we've got a horseshoe here, and we did a 75-acre burnout. 75 acres were burning, and it burned itself out there. 150 additional there, okay? Down here, we have some spots that have been thrown down in this area. Problem with this area is that it's also swamp, and the problem we're having at the moment is getting in here a ways and then getting real soft where we're sinking equipment. So we haven't sunk any yet, but that's the issue we're having. What we're trying to do at the moment is we're trying to find an area that we can punch through that is going to allow us to go from here to here. If that should not occur, what will eventually happen here, because you have heat source here and heat source here, they're going to burn together. They're going to track one another and burn together as one. So this little pocket, if we can't get this across, will burn, but we'll make sure that it doesn't spread. It'll burn that little pocket in there. Okay. The largest concern that we have right now is right in here. Today we're going to have 3 Black Hawk helicopters with the largest buckets on. We'll also have the tankers back, 2 air tankers. In fact, they should be on the fire as we speak, because I was out on the Espanola this morning and they were in the air with a 45-minute expected time of arrival. So they should be. So we're going to have a big air show again today. 3 helicopters, 2 fixed-wing aircraft. They're going to work on this because what is happening here is we're getting close to the power lines, And smoke and heat obviously aren't great for the power lines. Got arcing could be caused, and a bad situation there. We do have the power company on the ground out there with our people, and I'm not talking about something that is an acre away. We're still a good half day, if not longer, from being near the power lines. But we're always planning ahead, and always getting out there and staying ahead. So the air attack will concentrate here. We do have the power company, an advisor on the ground with us, so that his knowledge, we can work with a good plan of how to address this. The power lines are like very large double power lines. They run here. There's another set way over here. This is the ones we're concerned with here. They do not service Flagler or Volusia. They are substation to substation, and they head north. So let's say in a perfect electrical world, if something happens to them, we should not be affected power-wise. That's in the perfect world.
Who would be?
I tried to find that out, and I haven't been able to find out. They head north, and because I knew that would be a question, but I have not been able to find out where they go. It won't affect us in this area, or should not.
Todd, in your experience, I'm sure you've faced the same situation before, where the power lines were actually overtaken by fire. And what happens at that point?
Well, it kind of depends. It depends upon a lot of things. Like depends upon weather at that time, whether we've got flame lengths that are huge, or maybe we have a much more critical situation would be very high torching type flame, because that would engulf the wires. A less critical situation, still critical but less, would be a smaller flame lengths burning underneath the lines. The heat, the smoke reacts with the power lines and may cause an arcing situation. I myself have not actually been in a situation, but we've faced this before. What we try to do is we try to keep everything as cool as possible. So we'll be.
In that case, are you using structural engines or woods engines?
No, that's part of our air attack right now. Can we use structural engines? Sure.
I can tell you just let you know what we're doing. Like I told you earlier, we are working very closely with forestry. We have one of our battalion captains that is and that's called Division A, where you're looking at. Right. He's right there at Division A right now, so he can coordinate all of our resources with all of their resources. So if they do have a breakout, that's what remember we talked a little bit ago about those wildland task forces we have outside. That's what we would actually send in that area, because if you ever go back there, you see it's very difficult terrain to get back into, and we need the woods trucks to get back there and actually help mitigate that area. So that's what we've done to set up, and he's to help coordinate the air attack. We do have fireflies still that we're using for IA, but if they're needed, they can also be called in. We have our units all set up, and like I said, it's multi-jurisdictional for us. We have Palm Coast, Bunnell, Flagler Beach, and Flagler County all together out here working together so that if something happens, we can respond.
Right.
And we will respond to this if we're called in.
Here's the positive spin. Well, it's not even a spin. It's a positive fact of the matter is we've got air attack starting early. By noon, I've got should have everything in place. I think the tankers will probably start prior to the helicopters. Helicopters are due to be leaving the airport noonish. Okay, so we've got that. I think that's how we need to look at this. The question was, how do you defend the power lines and what happens? That's where the air attack comes in.
Want to speak about retardant?
Sure.
What they're doing is what these tankers are coming in to do is, you see that area? This is, excuse me a second. If you look at this area right here, I love getting around, by the way. If you look at the area we have right in here where the fire line is, they're going to be dropping retardant between the power line and where the fire is, and that's what's going to help slow this thing down and try to keep it cool. We don't think it's going to stop it, but it's going to slow it down enough to try to protect these power lines. So that's what the main plan is for this area right here. So that's where the tankers are coming in. They're going to come in, they're going to drop the retardant, try to hit it, keep it down, keep it cool, so that if it does keep moving in this direction, it poses less of a threat.
How long are the winds pushing that way for the next?
That's
Well, the answer to that is, you know,
BP could tell you all about that.
BP can tell you
I'll
what
talk about that a little bit.
what you know, the weather's going to do. But basically, the weather today, and this might be a good time to put him up there and talk about the weather. But basically, BP, the winds are going to be extremely unpredictable and squirrely, like they have been, probably, right or not?
Yeah, we're looking at that. You want me to do the weather now?
Sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Good morning. For those that don't know me, Bob Pickering, I'm an emergency management technician. And first thing I also want to say is that there's a lot of cooperation going on, and I'm getting stellar cooperation from the National Weather Service forecasters. They've been assisting me with preparing these forecast packages and that I've been giving out to the fire crews. With that being said, the winds today, I just looked at the latest observations just before coming in here, and the winds are kind of all over the compass right now, but they're very light. We're talking, I see one station east-northeast at 5 miles an hour, another station southeast at 3, another station calm, another station west at 2. So there's a lot of variability, but it's very, very light right now. We expect the winds to develop a little bit more substantially out of the southwest at about 10 miles an hour or so by midday or early afternoon. But then the sea breeze is expected to kick in, and that'll be a southeast wind at 10-15, maybe an occasional gust of 20. And that southeast sea breeze will be with us the rest of the afternoon, pending thunderstorm activity. Now, thunderstorms can create outflows. These are like waves through the atmosphere, and they can affect wind directions. And there's a 40% chance of thunderstorms this afternoon from the National Weather Service. Now, I've been asked about looking ahead, looking at the long-range forecast data from the National Weather Service. It gets a little tricky because there's a high-pressure system essentially parked over the state of Florida. It's going to wobble a little bit, and depending where we are in relation to the center of the high pressure will determine our winds. But essentially, for all intents and purposes, we're looking at a south component, might be southwest or southeast component over the next few days, probably starting off with a south or southwest component in the mornings and then switching to a southeast sea breeze in the afternoons. And we can expect that into the beginning of next week. So that's what we're looking at winds. We do not see at this point in time any sustained, strong southwest or west component to the wind that's going to be, strong and last any length of time. We just don't see that. As far as the extended forecasts and sea, we just don't see that happening right now.
And you don't see a tropical storm anywhere?
No, nothing. The only tropical activities going on right now is in the Pacific Ocean. There's nothing in the Atlantic Basin right now. And as a matter of fact, there is, maybe tomorrow, there might be a surge of tropical moisture, because what feeds our rainy season is tropical moisture coming up from the south. But this high pressure is like a big wall. It's kind of stopping it from coming up here. There's some indicators tomorrow that some of that moisture might try to migrate up over Florida, maybe enhance our thunderstorm activity. We are getting some of these disturbances that sometimes enhance thunderstorm activity. That's why it rained early yesterday morning. We have a disturbance come across, but what happens is when these disturbances come by, they drag some dry air in behind them. Then we're right back to where we started from. Tropical air tries to come back up again. Another disturbance comes along, enhances storms a little bit, and then we're right back to where we started. So until that tropical air mass can get a foothold up in here, it's going to be really hard to kick off the rainy season. So, any other questions? All right. Thank you.
Just to recap, I'll take the question in a second. Just to recap then, strong air attack. That's a positive. The fact that the air attack is starting in the morning is a real positive, because fire weather behavior, if there is going to be any change, is going to kick off like we saw the other day when we had 2 fires get up and running. 2:30 to 5 o'clock in the afternoon is going to be the most active time for fire. So we're hitting it hard, and we're throwing a lot of equipment at it from the air, and we're hitting it early. And those are 2 real positive things to take away.
The National Guard didn't know anything Whose are they?
Those are contracted from the U.S. Forest Service, so it's a contracted agreement that we, as DOF, have with them. If we need them, we call them. They're there.
And what's the cost of every sortie on one?
I'm not sure. I can't answer that question. I don't know the answer to that.
In other words, are they limited? You know, if you need them for the next 10 days, 3 times a day, can you do that?
Well, that's an interesting question. That's a hypothetical, so I'm not sure how to really answer it. I guess the best way to answer it is we would take a look at the events that were occurring at the time, look a little bit out from that, and plan out in front of it a little bit, and assess whether or not we could, continue to put them in here, and or can we manage it with them coming for a short while, cooling things off so that our crews can get in there and really attack it. So it's hypothetically, I can't really answer that because it's not, it hadn't happened yet.
So what's the new acreage on the fire?
New acreage on the fire should be on the map. I want to say it's in the middle of your map there. I can't even read it. It's in the middle.
1,047 looks like acres.
Yeah.
That's including yesterday's burns?
That's everything. And that's as of late last night. So that's a very current map.
So how many acres did it grow yesterday? Was that 150?
Some 714, something like that.
Just yesterday.
Yeah.
The day before you had it at 600, and yesterday 700. That's about 1,300 acres, and that's 1,300 on top of the more than 4,000 from 3 days ago. So that puts us well beyond 5,000.
Correct. But a difference would be to look in terms, yes, we burned additional acres, but we also caught those additional acres. We put lines around them, and we actually held, 2 days ago, we held overnight our lines there, and then of course it got to running a little bit yesterday. So that's what we're faced, and that's part of the problem with the dryness and not having the water and the moisture is we'll be chasing some of this as we attempt to get our arms totally around it and put it out. So that's why we take the tactics. We have the tactics to get air tankers in here, get helicopters in here, bring the water to the show and douse it. It's the largest amount of water we can put on a fire at one time. So good strategy.
But you can't actually put it out.
Can I actually put it out? That remains to be seen. We're just working with it the best that we can. Will it eventually be put out? Sure, it'll eventually be put out. I just can't tell you when that time is.
But I mean by weather rather than by men.
Not necessarily. To answer the best way to answer that is both. Your weather. If your weather cooperates with you, you're going to catch up on a fire. Whereas if the weather is still extreme, then it's going to be harder for us to catch up to that fire. If we can get weather conditions that kind of cool it down and let it sit down for a while, then we can move in there and start making progress on it. So I think it's a combination of a lot of factors, but weather has to cooperate with us. That's for sure. Any other questions? At this point in time, there is there are no homes or communities being threatened. We're still way out there in the woods, But we do need to address the concern of maintaining the integrity of those power lines.
At this rate of growth, and it is running every day now for the last successive days, how many days away are you from?
It's actually only run for the last 2 days aggressively.
How many days away are structures in danger?
That's kind of depends on which way the wind blows. If the wind blows the right way, there may be structures in the way there. There may not be. So it depends on what the winds do, and whether or not we get any precipitation. So can't really answer that. We don't know which way it's going to come. Every day is a new day weather-wise. So that's about the best I can do answering that one. Any other questions for me? I do have the means to take the media to the Espanola. I will be running out of here probably 1 o'clock or so, 1:15. The problem I have is this: I can't take everybody. So I need to either work on setting up a few different times, or we take someone, you all get together and talk about pooling video and agree to share all the stuff as a group. Or I'm not sure. I don't think I can run, but one tour today because I've got too much going on in the middle to later part of the afternoon. But I can get. Let's see. I can take. I think three of you to the fire. What we'll see is. I'll see. This morning I saw active fire. Okay. I did see, of course, a lot of smoke, a lot of tree fall that we can see, and we can do it all in a very safe area. That's why I went out this morning with the safety officer to make sure that we can all stay safe out there. So I have room for 3, and I'll be leaving 1:15. So. I guess I'll just leave it up to you all, and whoever shows up. Probably a meeting here in this room would be a good idea. I don't think it's in use at that time, 1:15. So I apologize for taking this long to get to the Espanola, but I needed to make sure I could keep everybody safe, and I needed to make sure that we didn't have a situation where there's a possibility of a run to where we'd be, in the way of that, or also I needed to find out what the crews were up to so that we wouldn't be in their way and impede their progress. So thank you for coming this morning. We have this every day at 11. Most of you have been here every day at 11. Any more questions? If not, 1:15.